Good Sunday afternoon, everyone. I am going to attempt a tutorial on the portfolio box that I made for the last journal. It's going to be probably a two-parter because I don't think I'm pretty sure I can't get it all done in one video. So the first thing you want to do is you determine the size of your journal, and then you give yourself a little leeway if you want tabs, how thick you want it. You just want to give yourself a little bit of room. I tend to make mine a little bit too chunky, so sometimes it ends up bursting the box a little bit. But I start with a couple of regular heavy-duty file folders. I trim off the tabs, and then I start from there. So this one is going to be 7.5 by 5.5. So I actually end up using the fold that's already there as a part of the gusset for the bottom, because you're going to want a gusset to give you room to slide your journal in and out. Well, first let's get it to size. So I take this, and it's going to be 5.5. So it'll be. Now I want it to get the height first. So that's 7.5. So we'll go to 7.5. 7.5. Maybe 7 3/4. Gosh, don't you hate it when you're doing a video how things work? It's going to be 7 3/4. 7 3/4. Don't throw this away. I'll end up using it for the band in between. Okay, then I figure out, and I normally make my journals with a 2-inch spine. So I start over here where the fold is, and what I'm going to do is make my 2-inch spine. So I'll put the corner where the fold is and go 2 inches, make a score mark 2 inches, and that'll give me the bottom part of where the journal is. So it has to be 5 3/4 tall. So from this point, I will go five and 3/4. Now this is 6.5. So if I go 5 3/4 and make a score mark, what I normally do is, rather than cut that off, I just fold it over, because it just adds a little bit of strength to the box. So I fold it over, and I'm going to end up gluing that down. So I want to make another score mark on the other side of the gusset, not on this side, on the other side of the gusset, to match the height. So that will be 5 3/4. Which will basically give you the box. Now, you're going to want the same 2 inches, which that leaves me exactly 2 inches for the top part of the gusset. So you have the front, back, and so it makes a gusset. Now what we'll do is we'll determine the length or the width of the flap that we want to make the front flap. And what I normally do is it's 5 3/4, so I'll probably make the flap about 2.5 inches, a little less than half. because you don't want the flap going down too far. You can just determine the length of the flap that you want. You could even make it 2 inches, 2 1/4 inches, whatever you're going to want for a flap. So I have this, which is the correct length. I can cut this right at the fold, where the fold line is, the original fold line is. Set that aside. Don't ever get rid of anything until you're done. You'd be surprised. I use a lot of the file folder also as stabilizers. Sometimes I'll make stabilizers for the corners and things like that. So, okay, so this is 4 inches. So I'm gonna want a flap that is about, yeah, about 2 1/2 inches. So I'll put a score mark at 2 1/2 inches, and then I'll make, just for strength purposes, I'll make the hinge part 1 inch. So I'll end up cutting off about 1/2 inch. I'll just cut that off so I'm not confused by it. So fold this on there. So what you'll do is this will be attached to, that's to, the ruler, 7 3/4. This needs to be 7 3/4. There we go. Okay. So this will be attached. I usually attach it to the inside. In fact, I can do that right now. We will attach it. Let me burnish this down just a little bit. Of glue. This is Art Glitter Dries Clear glue. Is a great glue. It works very quickly. Doesn't make a mess. So I will lay this flap down on the very edge here, and it will have a 1 inch hinge here, which will give more strength to the top. It'll be covered over with every pattern paper you decide you want to use. I might as well glue this down as well, because this adds strength. So I'll glue this surplus flap down. Okay, so now you have the basic structure of your box. So now what I do is I decide what I want, how big I want the strap, basically, that's going to hold the journal in. You can have it go a couple inches all the way to the top. You know, the full length, if you want it to go full length. That gives it a lot of structure. Usually I go anywhere from 3 to 4 inches for that. So I'll get another file folder here. Oh, wait a minute, I got a piece. That's gonna want, that's not going to be enough, I don't believe. So we want 7 1/2, 7 3/4. 7 3/4 is 3 and that's 3 7/8. Would be halfway. Okay. Alrighty. And this is not quite 12 inches long. It's 11 3/4 inches long. So 3 7/8 is the halfway mark. Nope, this piece is not going to be long enough. Well, no. Because I have to have the 2-inch gusset, at least 2 inches. Because that's going to be the width of, and that's not going to give me 2 inches. Plus at least a 1/2 inch for the hinge on the back. That's just barely 2 inches there, and that's not quite 2 inches there. Shoot, I'm gonna have to get a new piece. That's alright, I can use that for something else. Alrighty, well, I'll have to start with a new file folder. Sorry about that, folks. So, let me cut this to the height I want, and I wanted it at about 3 inches. Maybe, let's make it 4 inches. So we want we want 3 7/8 plus 2, so it's 5 7/8. So that'll be 2 inches. 2 plus half. So 2.5 inches on this end. From there we'll go seven 3/4. And then from there we'll go 2.5 again. So 2 inches and then a half will be my gusset. So this way. I will go 1/2 inch. I'll score it at 1/2 inch. And then at 2.5. Then at 7 3/4. At 9 3/4. And then a 1/2 inch more at 10 1/4 will give me my gusset or my hinge. There we go. And I will cut off the excess. Okay. So now, fold the 1/2 inch hinge, fold the 2 inch gusset, the 1/2 inch hinge on the other side, and the 2 inch gusset. And what I normally do, because you have this crease where you originally had the crease for the folder, what I normally do is I take a piece of scrap and I reinforce it that. I'm going to end up reinforcing the whole thing with patterned paper or something, but I reinforce it because it's used to bending there, so it just gives it a little bit more support so it doesn't bend on me. Then what I do is I put the cap back in my glue, use a piece of score tape on my hinges, and this is the top. This is the top flap, which will be, and if it helps you, I round the corner of the top flap. That helps you realize, it helps you keep orientated for top and bottom. Okay, what I normally do at this point is I attach one side. Okay, so this is basically how the box ends up. I won't attach this side yet because there's a lot of mechanics I do to the inside first. I put on the straps on the back, I put on the pattern paper. Don't put the pattern paper on the back, on the inside, because you're going to want to cover up all your mechanics of your brads and things like that, depending on if you want the policy envelope or buckles, or however you want your closure to look. Plus, I also usually end up with little straps on the back, so you'll end up with brads in here and brads on the front. So you won't want to put your pattern paper on the inside of the front face and on the back of the inside. And I usually leave, then I go around and I ink all the entire thing on all the corners, all the edges, ink the entire thing before you move along. Then you can attach your pattern paper to the outside, the inside, except for the back, except for the front. I attach the pattern paper to the outside of the flap, the outside of the back, the bottom, and the outside of the front, leaving the inside of the front and the inside of the back for of your pattern paper, because you're going to have your mechanical faux hinges there, so you're going to want to be able to cover those up. So that is the basic tutorial for the box itself, before we go into inking and picking out, choosing the pattern paper. Now you can use any pattern paper you like, double-sided, single-sided, whatever you want your box to look like. Lately I've been doing embossed paper, and I've been embossing 65-pound craft paper that I get either at Recollections or Hobby Lobby or wherever you get your craft paper. And what I do is I cut the pieces to size. I'll cut the face inside and outside. I'll cut all the pieces, and then will emboss them separately, and then I ink them or paint them or gesso them. That's what I've been doing lately for my covers. Although you can use paper from the collection you're using, you can use anything that, however you want your box to look, that matches your junk journal. That's what you want to use. So we'll work on that next time, but this gives you the basis of your box. Like I said, don't attach this down until you have your pattern paper on the inside there. This makes it a lot easier if you just attach it afterwards, and then you can glue on your outside pieces, except for, like I said, the back and the front, where your faux hinge brads will be showing through. Okay, everybody, I hope that was clear. I didn't mean to confuse anybody. If you have any questions, please give me a shout. I'll be happy to answer them. But I will see you in the next tutorial, where we will add the pattern paper and the brads. I'll have this all inked up and ready to go, and we can decide what we want to do for a closure, if we want to do straps with buckles, or if we just want to do the policy envelope type closure with the string and the buttons. So I hope you all have a great day, and like and subscribe, and I hope this was a good video for you. Thank you. Bye-bye.